Hello everybody. I wanted to record this quick session for you to show you some of the features on Jamboard that have been released recently by Google. Now, I know Jamboard's been around for a while. The physical board you can actually purchase and write on in front of your class, but they've actually been adding a lot of features to the web-based version of Jamboard, and that's really important because a lot of classrooms really rely on those web-based tools to really get the most functionality out of their devices. So I want to show you a few things that Jamboard has added recently that you're going to like, and then I'm also going to show you a technique of taking this Jamboard and turning it into a collaborative activity, which can then be recorded and then uploaded to a Flipgrid channel so that you can have a complete collaborative board of varying ideas from your students. First, I wanted to share with you how you can make a copy of it or create one right out of your Google Drive. You can click on New, select More, and then select Jamboard. It'll automatically create a Jamboard for you. You could then, in this Jam, come in here and select Make a Copy to make a duplicate of that. You could also come in here to the Jamboard that is actually created, and then under the three dots, you can select Make a Copy as well. This is important because sometimes you want to make templates of these boards, and these templates can be utilized for a variety of activities. And so you're going to want to be able to make those copies to allow other teachers, for you to be able to use that for other activities in your classroom. Let me show you. For example, a Jamboard can actually have 20 different boards on a single jam, but they're not numbered. So I created a Jamboard with numbers all across so I can have my students work on a different page, and at the same time I can view those pages on the top pane to ensure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. I do have my students actually write their name or group name next to their number. Since it does only allow for 20 boards on a single jam, you're not going to only have 20 students in your classroom. So if you do have up to 40 students, you can actually have them work in pairs, which is fantastic because then they could then go into that collaborative consultation mode to really solve the problem together and in unison with another student. But what if you wanted to share this with another teacher? You could come over to share and then click on share with them. But what if you want to share it with a whole bunch of teachers? Well, one thing that you can do is you can do the copy hack, just like you can do in another Google Doc. So if I erase up to where it says viewer and then select copy, and I give this to a teacher, they can then get a force copy of this. Now, there is one caveat you have to make sure you do. Under the share button, you have to make sure it's changed from private to anyone with the link can view. This will then allow you to send that URL to another teacher, and once they click on it, it'll force a copy of that document. So I will include a copy of this numbered template for you in the show notes below. Now, how do I utilize this in my classroom? Well, once I have created this document with 20 different panes and have them numbered, I would then come up to my share button, and anyone with the link can view. I change that to anyone with the link can edit. Now, what that does is I can now push that out through Google Classroom, and my students will then have access to this board for them to work on. My students will then get into numbered groups up to groups of 2 and 20, and they will then join the board. They will then go to their designated number. So let me show you an example. Here's an example that I gave to teachers, and I asked them, please explain how you would tell students, the younger students, how 5 pennies are actually worth less than 1 quarter. How are you going to tell them that value doesn't necessarily mean number of items? And so I had teachers all working on different panes at the exact same time. Now, one of the great things about the Jamboard is that you can add images now. They just added this a few weeks ago by clicking on this image, and you can grab from Google Search, you can grab from your Google Drive, or straight from your Google Photos. This means they can use these images to add on to their information, but you can bring in images of, let's say, passages you're having the students read. Let's say you have 20 different passages and you want them to underline the main topic from each passage, circle the main character, underline verbs. You can do this definitely in a Jamboard because you can annotate on top of those images. You could bring in math problems and have those math problems placed on the board and then have the students work them out. And since this has, you can actually annotate on top with your mouse pad, your mouse, or touchscreen, it really lends itself towards actually really annotation and digital inking on here. And notice I can click on here and see everybody's work all at once and see how they are doing. Now that's great, but not really getting into the minds of my students though. I really want to hear from them how they're explaining this. So another part of this that I have my students do is once they are done, and by the way, they don't all have to be done at the same time because this is digital. Some of them could be still working on their Jamboard and explanations, and then the others can move on to this next activity. It doesn't matter. And so let's say that this student is done. They're then going to enable their Screencastify. Screencastify is a great screencasting tool for Google. It is an extension that you will use in your Chrome browser, and it allows you to record up to 10 minutes of video 50 times a month. You're not going to really need to use that any more than that. So that's fantastic. They have the option of webcam only, or they'll do just desktop only, or browser tab. I always say using the browser tab is good. It will ask to use your camera. I'm going to show you why, and it should also ask to use your microphone as well. And so if I am on my slide, let's say that I'm going to explain this. I would click on Screencastify. I'm going to select browser tab, and then you're going to select record.
3, 2, 1.
It's going to give you a countdown, and then the recording begins. Now, one of the things that I really tell students to do is keep the video on, because it can actually add another layer onto their explanations. Let me show you how. They can move the video, and they can actually do things like this. You see that penny up there? That penny over there is may be just 1, but it's only worth 1 cent. Now, this quarter down here, it's actually worth 25 of those. So the value of that 1 quarter is 25 of those 1 pennies. Now, notice you're just adding this extra layer of multimedia into the view. If they don't want to use that video option, all they would do is come down here and turn that video off. Another great thing about this is they can actually annotate on top of their annotations. It doesn't add this to the actual Jamboard, but it lets them emphasize different portions of their explanation. Once they are done, they would just hit stop on their Screencastify. It'll bring up a preview and then the recording begins. And what this will do is it'll automatically save to their Google Drive. Now, you are more than welcome to have the students just share the link from that Google Drive right to Google Classroom. But I'm a very visual learner, and I want to see this explanation in a really robust system. So what I do is I actually click Save to Disk, and it gives me a very small WebMV file of this recording. And what I can do with that is go to one of my favorite tools, Flipgrid. Now, if you don't know Flipgrid, it's a video response system that allows teachers to create topics and discussions of questions, and the students would click on this big plus button right here, and then they would respond to that by clicking on the record tab. But what I like to do is actually bring in my screencasted objects right into Flipgrid. To do that, you click on this blue cogwheel instead of the red record button. You go to the import tab and click import video, and I just drag that WebMV file we just created. And then the recording begins. Now there is my Screencastify recording. All I do now is click next, next, and submit. It'll automatically upload my recording to the Flipgrid discussion topic. I hit complete, and now I will have a view of everybody's jam, of everybody's explanation of that one single problem. So by taking a jam and turning it into 20, and then by giving that out to our students via Google Classroom and then assigning them a number, they can work in groups to solve a problem, then explain the problem, and then share that explanation with the whole group through Flipgrid. That's what I call the Jamboard Screencastify Flipgrid AppSmash. You can do this for a variety of different things, but I really think this really enhances the capabilities of the Jamboard. So I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial on how I utilize Jamboard for collaboration and communication, and then how I use the Screencastify and Flipgrid apps to really AppSmash and bring that home for a whole group discussion. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this video, please follow me on Twitter at JoeMarquez70. Thank you so much, and you have a great day. Keep on innovating.